There are shows with psychics,
And there are shows with doctors.
but there's no show like The Psychic and the Doc.
Your practical paranormal power unleashed.
This show synthesizes the talents of world-class medium Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, psychic explorer,
And street smart spiritualist, behavioral psychologist, Dr. Pat Baccili. All subjects are on the table and no topic is taboo. Inspiration, insight.
action, and fun as Mark Anthony connects callers with loved ones in spirit.
In tandem with Dr. Pat's fresh, no-nonsense, street smart, intuitive insights. And she is hilarious.
Extraordinary problems
Require extraordinary solutions, which may come from this side
or the other side. This is The Psychic
and the Doc. And it starts now. Welcome, everybody. I'm Mark Anthony, JD, Psychic Explorer. I'm here with the incredible Dr. Pat Baccili, world-renowned behavioral psychologist, and this is The Psychic and the Doc. We have a very special program today. What does pride mean to you?
Yeah.
And this show is dedicated to our brothers and sisters in the LGBT community. And in my research indicated that pride, one of the reasons that pride has been chosen as the name to celebrate the LGBT community is that pride stands for professionalism, respect, integrity, diversity, and excellence. And I think that is just an amazing way to celebrate one of the most creative, intellectual, and amazing segments of society. But I think that we should all be celebrating, no matter who you are, what your orientation is, affiliations, we should all stress professionalism, respect, integrity, diversity, and excellence. Because if we did, I think the world, starting with this country, would be a better place.
Yeah, what a great introduction, Mark. Thank you so much for that. And for those of you out there, just so you know a little bit about Mark, Mark has been one of the most incredible advocates for equality that I've ever met. I knew this about him the first day I met him, and it didn't matter what we were talking about. We could be talking about the situation in South Africa, or we could be talking about some horrific act in some other country, or we could be talking about things in this country. And what you should know about both of us is that although we don't do a lot of talking about it, our advocacy and what we do, we are active. And when we see atrocities, especially in the LGBTQAI community, should I say A+ community, it's gut-wrenching. Now, you've heard Mark, I have talked about what I've seen in the state of Washington and the aggression against my Asian friends. And I've never seen anything like it. Now, we grew up with what happens if you're a person of color. Now, today, we're talking about pride because there's never been a time that I've lived. And boy, I've been in a bunch of protests and done a bunch of things, but I'll tell you, I don't think there's ever been a more important time for all of you, Gen X, J, Y, Z, boomers, schoomers, whoever the heck you are, take that away and get out and vote. I don't think there's ever been a time where we are on the edge of losing rights. It took us 50 years to get.
Yeah.
But today's show is to be proud and be examples of pride about all of the people that have come before. Isn't that true?
Absolutely. And I can't believe that in this country, in the 21st century, this is even still being debated. I mean, I can understand in countries controlled by religion in the Middle East and some more backward countries, but in the industrialized world, I just cannot understand how anyone wants to disenfranchise any part of society. And it is wonderful as the Civil Rights Act was in the 1960s. Think of the arrogance and the hubris that one race is going to grant equal rights to another race.
Right.
Excuse me? We're
Yeah.
all members of the human race. And that applies to all segments of society, including the LGBT community.
Mhm.
Um, I hear people, oh, we got to get rid of those people and all this. And it's like, look at Western civilization. Do you think there'd be a Renaissance
Mm.
if it hadn't been? I mean, Leonardo, Michelangelo, some of
No
the
way.
greatest. I
Come
mean,
on.
when you look at the cultural, intellectual achievements, World War II, there's a really wonderful movie called The Imitation Game, and it stars
Oh, yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch, and he played Alan Turing. And there's even a Turing Award. He basically invented the first computer, which cracked the German secret code, and it was has been theorized, or rather stated, that because of Alan Turing's invention, World War II lasted 2 years less than
Mhm.
it could have. In other words, if it weren't for Turing, Nazi Germany may have won the war. And he was a gay man. And then after the war, he was arrested for being gay and then chemically
Yeah.
castrated,
Yep.
which was the law in Britain at the time. And then he ended up dying by suicide. Now, this genius helped to and significantly contributed to winning the war. And we could go on and on and on with the cultural achievements. I remember seeing an interview with the late, great Elizabeth Taylor, and she said, if it weren't for gays, there wouldn't be a Hollywood. She goes, we wouldn't have hair, makeup, design. Sir Ian McKellen, in an interview a couple of years ago, said half of Hollywood is gay, but they're afraid to admit it. So the thing is, so many people have
Mhm.
benefited, and I'm not just saying from the gay community, from the African American community, from the Latino community, from the Asian community, from the white Anglo-Saxon community, from all the different. The America is an experiment. It's called the Great Experiment, and we're supposed to be a melting pot, and each different group of people is like a different spice, a different
Mhm.
flavor we're putting into this, and it's making it a good thing. So anyway, I don't mean to get on my soapbox,
No,
but
but I
yeah,
think we
I'm
have
all
to talk
for
about it.
treat people equally.
Yeah, I think we have to talk about it. And Amy, we are going to get to the phones. This is a live call-in show for you all, 1-800-930-2819. But I want to bring up two things. I think, Emily, so when I first came to Seattle, I didn't know much about Seattle coming from New Jersey. But when I got here, I was like, oh my God, this is the openly LGBTQ plus community in the world. Of course, wasn't aware of San Francisco at the time. And it was so cool to be here. And I remember being up on Capitol Hill. I had moved to Capitol Hill. My friend got me an apartment that could take my dog. And a couple of my friends said to me, they saw me parked getting, of course, coffee. That's what we do. And they saw my Harley Davidson. And they're like, oh my God, you got to be in our movie. And I'm like, like me, like, I'm such an introvert. It's like, what the? And they said, you've got to be in our movie. We've been looking for a motorcycle chick that has a bike like this. And Emily's got some of the pictures. And I thought, this has got to be a joke. And it wasn't. It was, they were creating a really cool movie, like a real movie, a mystery for for the Pride events that happened in Syria, right? And I had the funnest time. I mean, if you look at the pictures, Emily's got the picture she putting me up on my Harley at the time with my little white dog. It's not my dog, but this is the dog that I supposedly rescued, right? The dog looks like in shock. But I want to say something else. Each and every one of us can do something here. Here's what kills equality: not doing anything. I just want to say to all y'all out there, it's not so much the people that are the haters and come at you, because you can have a conversation with them, but it's the silence that kills equality, whether it's for women. Now, how many years ago? 1969. This is 1924.
2024. Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
Although
sorry. Jesus,
politically
I don't know
and
what the hell
socially, it
year.
seems like we're
I
going
don't know
back
what
to
year I'm in, but this is 2024. 1969 is a few years. Today is June 27th. On June 28th in 1969, I was at a little known bar in New York, in the Village, a neighborhood bar, on that day as a very young kid. It's called Stonewall.
Yeah.
And a buddy sent me a picture from a magazine circling a face and said, "Is that you?" And I said, "Well, if I wasn't in the paddy wagon, it probably is not me." But I'll never forget that moment. I'll never forget that event. I don't talk about it much. My friend said that most of the people that were there are pretty much dead. But I'm not dead, and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget what happened. I'll never forget the real story behind it, not what you sensationalize. I'll never forget the fact that you're in a bar and the police are coming in harassing the male customers in the bar, and the female customers, the women in the bar, went berserko. And so this is the story of people standing up, not understanding the legality. And one thing that the police should know, if you're going to raid a place, please don't do it at like early morning hours when everybody has had way too much to drink, because you are going to have what they call the Stonewall riots. That's just a given. Tonight's show, even in our grief, even when Mark connects you, even in all of that, even in your guilt you may be feeling, or your shame, or I should have said those words. Mark, isn't today's show about pride for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely it is. I've always felt that no one's equal unless we're all equal. No one's free unless we're all free. And I think that it's very important to realize that we're all brothers and sisters. And I realize, I mean, uh, we're all not going to join hands and all sing Kumbaya. I wish we would. But the idea that when Thomas Jefferson wrote, "All men are created equal," and at the time, yes, it was men were the dominant gender, but extrapolating, that was a radical idea for the 18th century. And now we're still grappling with, are all people created equal? And of course we are. So I think that it's very important for everyone to focus on professionalism, respect, integrity,
Yeah.
diversity, and excellence. Also, and Dr. Pat and I, we try to avoid politics.
We do our best.
We do our best. Just because somebody disagrees with you politically does not make them the enemy. The United States was built on the free marketplace of ideas. I read a story once about Peter the Great. He was a Russian czar, and he went to visit England and Holland, and he saw King William, who was king of both England and Holland at that time, and he was invited to Parliament. And Peter the Great was astonished that the king was in Parliament and members of Parliament were having disagreements with him, criticizing the king, but speaking their minds, because in Tsarist Russia, there was one opinion, and that was the Tsar's. And he found it was fascinating to see that people could question authority, question the sovereign, and not be immediately imprisoned for it. And he also saw that the intellectual level and the educational level of England and Holland far exceeded the totalitarian dictatorship of Tsarist Russia. So when somebody as intelligent as Peter the Great was observing that 300 years ago, I think it's high time we do that as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Now, on another note, I want to mention this. I know we may or may not get a lot of callers tonight. Tonight is debate night, unless we've all forgotten.
No, I don't think. Yeah, it's hard to forget. Yeah,
unless we've forgotten.
People who disagree with you are not your enemy. Go ahead, Dr. Pat.
And that's what I want to say. I was interviewed a couple of weeks ago, and the person that interviewed me just, for whatever reason, had to ask me who you're going to vote for. And I just looked at him. I said, do you want to ask me maybe a different question? How do I decide who to vote for? So he said, how do you decide what to vote for, Dr. Pat, who to vote for? I said, for me, I'm going to be looking at people that are going to uphold, protect, and expand the rights for all people. That's who I look for. I look for the people that understand what that means, that their track record shows they do that, and understand the power. And he said something to me, I can't remember exactly because I won't replay the interview. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something like, well, do you mean for everybody? And I said, look, I grew up Catholic, stepmom was Southern Baptist, and I grew up in a family that said, God and Jesus loves us all. God made us and this is from scripture, whether you believe him, her, whatever, in his image. So what did he do? Almost make a few of us in his image and the rest of us different colors, different skin. What did God do? Like you either made in the image or you ain't. And so let's not contradict what you believe by the humanity that says one of us is better than the other. We may be different, but we're not less than. Let's go take a short break, everybody. When we come back, we're hopping over on the phones. Love to talk to Amy in San Diego and anybody out there. Please share your pride stories. We welcome them. And we open the door to all. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Oh my gosh, we're having a blast today. Our episode tonight is about pride, and I think we had one of the most incredible opening segments. And boy, if you could ever listen to the outtakes of what we talk about during the break, it would be so cool. But right now, it's all about Amy. Emily, why don't we bring Amy on if we could?
Okay, Amy from San Diego, you are live. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Amy. How can we help you today?
Hi, thank you so much for your show. You're always so high energy. My goodness.
It's true. It really is. Hey, did you see my gold medals I won playing ping pong? Here, hold on. See that? Wait, I got them backwards. Jesus, Pat. See? That's why I'm high energy. I hit a little white ball. That's where my aggression goes.
2 gold medals and a silver medal. Dr. Pat was just tearing it up in a ping pong tournament last weekend. Way to go, Dr. Pat.
Amy, how can we help you?
wow.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hey, you know, I have this longing to connect with my ex-husband, John, and see how he's doing and, you know, how he stands with us, because I feel so sad. He's been deceased since 2012.
All right, hold on, Amy.
And
Don't
it
give
was
me Amy.
Yeah, Amy, hold on one second, because we don't want to give
Don't-
Mark
yeah.
any information.
Yeah, don't see. I already know he's an
Oh.
ex-husband
Yeah.
in 2012. Don't give me
Yeah.
any information. Let me see.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when I open up the frequency, spirits are going to come forward that will be connected to you, and he may or may not be one of those spirits. Okay, because I'm not a bouncer. Okay, I'm not a bouncer at a bar, and I can't tell a spirit you not. But let me open up and see what we have spiritually. Who wants to talk to you? Okay, I'm getting 3 spirits, but first off, I'm getting a female energy coming through connected to your mother's side of the family, but she feels like she could be on the grandmother level. And this lady was a hoot. She's got this kind of wild, crazy, curly hair, laughed a lot, but toward the end of her life, I'm getting a lot of numbness on the side of my face, on my left side of my face. That could be cardiopulmonary or cardiovascular issues, meaning like heart problems. But this could also indicate that she may have had a stroke. Maybe that's what she passed from, or she had a history of strokes. And I feel that her passing was not a quick event and it took some time. Do you recognize this person, Amy? Amy, are you there?
It could possibly. Oh, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Now
go ahead.
we can.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, it could be my grandmother, although she didn't laugh a lot, but it could be my best friend's grandmother. It could be her, because she was, you know, she laughed a lot and was goofy and had curly gray hair.
Okay, now she's hold on. All right, Amy, good. She's giving me an aquamarine, which is the birthstone for the month of March. Now, March may not apply to her, It could be a significance to you or possibly your husband in some other way. An aquamarine is the birthstone for the month of March. So what this could mean, Amy, is a significant birth, death, anniversary, or event connected to you or someone close to you, in spirit or on planet Earth. Or there could be something about the color aquamarine or the actual gemstone in aquamarine. Is there anything there?
Both resonate with the month of February, but Vera was what was
No,
the
aquamarine is March, Stay on point. I want you to think about that. Just out of curiosity, the color aquamarine, a blue-green color, how does that what does that mean to you? How does that make sense to you?
I think more like turquoise. Kind of like that's how it feels. It's kind of like a mysterious color to me.
Okay, well, we'll take that. And let me, all right, now I do have a male energy coming through. Now, what I'm getting with him is I feel very parched. And by parched, I mean very, very thirsty. And I'm feeling numbness in all my extremities. And I'm also feeling tingling and numbness in my mouth and my tongue. Um, this indicates to me that there could have been something neurological going on, but I'm also getting the sense that he was having difficulty with his mental focus and clarity. And based on the other physical sensations I'm getting through my body, nausea, which would be an indicator that he most likely wasn't eating or drinking, and that kind of ties into the sense of being parched, very thirsty. It feels like he was very heavily medicated prior to passing. Now, this could be like a self-medication, but this could also be due to medical treatment, like possibly even hospice or something like that. Do you recognize this person?
Yeah, that sounds so much like my ex-husband. It was just very bizarre what happened, and
All right.
I have a hunch that yeah, that's maybe what was going on with him that made him do that.
Okay, so all
Huh.
right, so we got him in here, and to answer your question, he says, "I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. How are you?" And he's smiling about that. And you got to realize spirits are always fine. We're the ones that aren't. But he does want to talk about you, and he's talking about back and back pain. Now that could have been something going on with him. But have you been having any type of back pain, particularly mid to low back?
I just had a hip fracture heal, my
There,
left side. Just like wow,
yeah.
like literally, I'm just getting back to life.
There you go. See, that indicates that he's around you and he's aware of what's happening. That's why he said, "I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. How are you?" Then he's given me this low, mid to low back pain, which would, of course, also incorporate the hip. He said, "Springtime was always our favorite. Springtime was always our favorite." Now, most people like spring. I mean, the weather starts getting nice. It's warm, but it's not too hot. But there's something about spring and springtime, and he keeps showing me all these little tiny flowers, those little tiny white flowers. They remind me of like baby's breath. Is there anything with springtime, lots of little flowers, and or the flower baby's breath that would make sense to you in any way? And remember, it doesn't have to apply to him. It just needs to make sense to you in some other way.
Oh yeah, we like to camp out, and springtime was always so pretty up at San Luis Obispo and Morro Bay, and then where we lived in Laguna Niguel, there was a lot of baby breath growing there all over. We were kind of in the middle of a cow pasture till it got built up. So yeah, there was just tons of baby breath around.
Awesome,
So that's really
awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome, Amy. So he's bringing up these very pleasant memories, and he's apologizing. He said, "If I'd had more maturity," he said, "if I'd been more emotionally mature," he said, "I would have treated you better. I would have treated you better." He said, "But you were always so gracious, always so gracious." And I'm hearing that Lionel Richie song, and this is the one he's transmitting to you, and I'll try not to butcher it. It goes, "You're once, twice, three times a lady. Once, twice, three times a lady. He said that everything that was going on between the two of you, he said you always took the high road. And he says, I always admired and appreciated that about you.
Oh, I was a lucky woman to have him. I thought he was my knight in shining armor. So it's a two-way street. As I can't be more grateful for being lucky to be married to him, and just sad that we didn't work our relationship out. Now, woulda, shoulda, coulda. I think we both would have said, duh. You know, we have a little bump in the road. Let's fix it. You know, this is not a horrible marriage. It never was. It was absolutely amazing to be married to him. But oh, it's painful when they're gone.
Yeah.
For people who are married and having challenges, go get therapy and stay married. You're together for good reason. I mean, don't regret it.
Absolutely. Before I turn you over to Dr. Pat, I keep hearing either a name like Clark or Clarkson, Clark or Clarkson. And that could be somebody connected to you in this world, or somebody. Now, Clark rhymes with Mark, because when I get names, it could be something close to it. But I'm getting Clark or Clarkson. Does any of that? And if it doesn't make sense, just make a note of it, because it might at some point.
Okay, yeah, it could be. I know Clark's where I grew up, and my dad and mom were close to the Clarks. But I think of the Clark candy bar. I was loving that candy bar when.
All right. I mean, it could mean both of those. You grew up near, or your parents grew up near Clark's, and you like the Clark's candy bar. All right, Dr. Pat, take it away.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing this. And thank you for the message, because I love what your message is for people listening today. We have come out of COVID with relationships being in so much turmoil. You should do your own podcast on this, because what you just said about we should try to figure out how to work it out. And if you were sitting here with me, you'd know what I'm seeing going on between people, and it's really shocking. You know, it doesn't matter how many credentials I have or whatever you want to call me, I am always in awe with how we treat each other. Now, I got to ask you a couple of questions. How long were you married?
We were married 1984 to 97.
How many years is that? Somebody, look, I don't know to do the math on it. How many years was that?
13.
Okay. Okay, because aquamarine is one of these stones that represents shorter relationships. You know what I mean? It's not one of these, it's not a diamond. But the other thing that it also represents, and I just want to ask you about this, whether this is for you or for somebody else, who has the sinuses or the lungs or the respiratory stuff? Because that's aquamarine. That's what it's used for. Who has any of that going on?
Huh.
You? Is
I
it
don't
you
think
or
any
a,
of us really.
okay, but how about anybody close to you? Because a lot of time when Mark brings this through, it's not always for you, right, Mark?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
usually for somebody else you know, and maybe somebody close to you.
You know, that it partially it could be me, because I've been kind of stuffy lately. For I'm like, why is that? And I moved somewhere
Right.
different, and I thought maybe it's where I'm breathing,
Okay.
because I keep the door open and I get
Yeah.
a lot of fresh air because I'm right on.
Okay.
Before,
So
if I
this
close
is
the door.
aquamarine. Aquamarine is used as gemstones have other qualities outside being aquamarine is absolutely beautiful, but it also represents water. But it also, if you're going to have to Google this, okay, and you're going to have to find it is a water stone, but it's connected to Pisces, it's connected to Aquarius, but it's also known for healing sinuses, lung, and respiratory. And so a lot of times when Mark does this, it's a strange way to get a message to you to say you better check that out, Amy. You better take care of that part of you. You see what I'm saying? Mark, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It doesn't sometimes it doesn't take the short route. It doesn't come short. But also, you have a lot of regret, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, he doesn't, Mark's an author. He doesn't hold you like that. Mark, right? You understand what I'm saying?
Correct.
This is not regret that like he's putting on you.
Right. And he came through to bring up very pleasant memories, let you know
Yeah.
that he's around you, aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
And also, you need to look at the reference to springtime. Yes, that was a happy memory, but springtime is also a metaphor for new beginnings.
Yeah.
And perhaps that's what he's telling you is it's time for a new beginning in your life. And it's like Dr. Pat is as always correctly pointing out, you have a lot of regret. So Dr. Pat, what do you think that might mean?
I'll tell you. I'm going to stay with aquamarine because it won't let go of me for the moment.
Go for it.
Aquamarine is about cleansing, tranquility, and also courage. So there's a part of you that I don't know why you moved. I think you said you moved. This is a time for you to let go. You have to let go of him. You've got to cleanse the energy within yourself and your soul of guilt and shame and doubt, right? Because you want to hold on to whatever memory you can that's loving. And guilt and shame and doubt and regret aren't. And he's at peace. So now this is your time. When aquamarine is not one of these gemstones we get a lot. I mean, we don't get that coming up much at all. But for you, it's a stone of courage. And I don't know if there's something in your life that you need a little bit of courage around. And you don't have to share it on air either, Amy. You know, you can keep it to yourself.
No, this is really interesting because our marriage, as far as I'm concerned, would have been saved, but I had a huge problem with bulimia. Let me tell your listeners, if you got a problem with bulimia, it overtakes your life, and
yes,
you
it does.
have to hide and run from. And you want to be that wonderful wife, but how embarrassing to have this amazing husband. And you have this crazy behavior that it's just like you can't, food, it's not like giving up cigarettes or alcohol. I could care about that stuff. Food's right in your face. So you get invited places and all that food and you just get triggered. I'm over it now. I've been over that since 2000. But I just thought in my heart, just to sum it up, had I never had that problem, yeah, John and I could have worked it out. I let him know I had it, and that's where we started having marriage problems. But
that's okay.
Said, John, I need you, honey. Don't, let's get this done together. I need to know you're there for me, because I went to school and studied all that, but dang, so don't let bulimia ruin your life, people.
Yeah. And let me say this, Amy, see, I knew you had this mess. I knew there was something else you had to say here tonight, because bulimia, and let me just call it any sort of eating disorder right now. We're starting an addiction channel, and part of that is going to include all facets of it. But we've seen people die. Carpenter, we just didn't talk about it. And I have to tell you, it was courageous for you to have that level of awareness and step out and say, this is what's going on with me. But I will tell you, whether it's bulimia, it doesn't matter what it is, whenever you bring that to a close partner and they don't understand it, one, you hope they'll learn it. I'm 33 years in recovery, and I will tell you, I'm so grateful for the closest people in my life now that stayed with me, that knew the good, the bad, and ugly about me, and were willing to learn about this. You just happen to be at a place and a time where it just wasn't, the door wasn't open. But I am so proud of you for doing what you needed to do to take care of yourself in that way. That's a pride moment right there.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Amy, thank you so much. Please do something, find a group. You're not responsible for that breakup. None of it. It's not. It really isn't. Some days the people that find out about our vulnerabilities just don't want us anymore. But that is less about us. Okay?
Okay. Thank you both so much.
Bet, Amy. Thank you
Oh,
so
it's
much.
our
Yeah.
pleasure, Amy.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Send me
calling
some of
in.
that weather. Send me some of that San Diego weather, okay? I got the heat on in the house.
Okay.
Thank you, Amy. Mark, why don't we take a short break? We'll be right back, everyone. Hey, everybody, welcome back. You are listening to The Psychic and the Doc, and thank you so much. Now, before we kind of keep chatting here, Mark, I know you have a very busy schedule, but you're also doing some incredible things, incredible ways for people to participate. So can you talk a little bit about them and also let folks know how they register? I don't even know if you have any seats left, but can you tell folks how they can connect with you?
Certainly, I've got 2 Light Circle events on the 19th and 20th of July. And a Light Circle, it's an online event. We do it by Zoom. It's limited to 6 people each, so everybody's guaranteed a connection with loved ones in spirit. And you can find out about it by visiting my website, afterlifefrequency.com. Go down to the calendar of events, when you get there. And I got the Light Circle events. I will be posting shortly. I'm going to be doing a presentation for the Galileo Commission on July 16th. And I'm very honored because the Galileo Commissions, they're out of London, and it's an international organization of afterlife and survival of consciousness experts. And I'll be doing a talk about the electromagnetic soul, but I promise it won't be boring. I will be the keynote speaker at Helping Parents Heal in August, and you can find out about that as well by going into my calendar of events. And that's just a few of the things that I've got coming up. And so also, World UFO Day is coming up on July 2nd, and my latest article in July edition of Best Holistic Life magazine is entitled UFOs, Who is Watching Who? So you can find out about all of that at bestholisticlife.com, or go to my website, afterlifefrequency.com. And Dr. Pat, I want you to show your medals again. All right, you got two gold medals
Oh, wait, let me
and
see
a
if I can get
silver
it.
medal, and then
Yeah.
I want you to show
They
something
make
else you got
noise
there.
too.
So
There they are.
Dr.
Can you see
Pat,
them?
she kicked butt and took names at a
Yeah.
table tennis tournament last weekend in
Washington
Seattle.
State, the Washington
State.
State Championships. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And you know,
boom.
I got to give my partners credit. I have to give my my women's partner Dipti, I got to give her credit, and I'm still apologizing to you, Dipti, for really blowing that last game, right? I just, yeah. And Sean, my mixed doubles partner, I want to thank them both, because you don't get any of this by yourself. And I want to thank my best friend Linda for sitting there for 2 days. The first date, 97 degrees. 97 degrees. That's insane. And I have to give a shout out to a woman. And I'm going to be giving Emily some pictures to post on social media. In this sport, you can play of all ages. I got the honor of not just meeting, but playing with, at the end of the day, the gold champion in the 95 to 100 age category, 96 years old. And I had the honor of playing with her. You see, we should just keep going. When you do things you love in life, you know, age becomes an irrelevant man-made thing. It just does. And I think that we all have to remember, and I think it's probably good you don't watch a lot of television, especially the commercials, Mark.
Yeah.
Because we're reminded of what we're not. We're reminded of how weak we are. We're reminded that, you know, if we have a cough, we have to go get an inhaler. We're reminded, I mean,
I didn't realize how many diseases I had watching, and I'm making a joke there, but everything's like, if you have this, if you have this, if you, and then they
every
tell you,
commercial.
yeah, the side effects when you take it. It's like, I think I'd rather challenge, face the disease. But oh, you also have something else there related to pride. Don't you have Lady Pride?
Yes, hang on.
Yes. I want you to show our listeners and explain to them the significance of this piece of art.
Now, when I came to Seattle, I had a couple of things, the movie, right? But take a look at her.
Wow.
In that same year, I went to a White Elephant and they were shocked that I wanted the appetizer forks, and I could see what was going to be created. And she represents the masculine and the feminine goddess of pride. That's what I created, right?
That's incredible.
It is. I've had a couple of my friends say, Pat, is that a self-portrait? And I said, pretty much, don't worry about it. You know, I do have a beard right now, probably. But, you know, these are the kinds of things and the gifts. So thank you for bringing that up. If you were in the room I'm in, you'll see that they are not by themselves. There are several other in here. I went through a phase where I just did art. It lasted about 1.5 years. Thank you, Mark, for that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I think that's incredible. Yeah, and as we were speaking about pride in the first segment, we said that pride, P.R.I.D.E, it was chosen because the P stands for professionalism, R
Yeah.
for respect, I for integrity, D for diversity, E for excellence. These are all powerful affirmations, not just for the LGBT community, but for everyone. Everyone.
During the break, I got a text, and I told my friend I wouldn't share their name. I got a text and said, you know, Baccili, look, you talk about Washington, you talk about Canada Pride, go Google it. Don't forget, New Jersey beat Massachusetts January 12th of 2004. Now, Massachusetts did something in the Supreme Court, but they didn't do anything until May of 2004 to pass. Jersey, the legislature of New Jersey passed a registered partnership bill, and it came into effect July 10th of 2004. And so, yes, I do talk about Washington State for 2 reasons. One, Christine Gregoire did have the courage to come full out with that and was challenged. And our state, I believe, was the first, if not maybe the only state that had a bill, but it wasn't going to hold up. And what they did in that year was they had the people vote on 2 things. Was a strategy: legalize marijuana and same-sex marriages. And they thought one of the 2 would pass. In the state of Washington, both legalizing marijuana and same-sex marriages passed with flying colors, and that strategy was never used again in politics.
That's interesting.
But we did. But Mark, thank you so much for today, and thank you so much for every day. You know, we do this show and people see us in this show, and every once in a while we'll talk about the things that are important to us. But you and I have more than this show in common.
Yeah.
We believe in equal rights, and we believe in equal rights for humanity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
And I want to thank all of the listeners for tuning in. Next week's 4th of July, but we're definitely going to be back the following week. Now we're going to have a show next week. But with 4th of July, I know there's always a lot of drinking and partying. If you're going to drink, please take an Uber, take a taxi, take a Lyft. It's $10,000 cheaper than a DUI, and it can save a life, which may be your own, as opposed to somebody else. Please be responsible, and if you're using fireworks, please be careful. I've seen too many dangerous things, but remember, freedom is not free. Somebody paid the price for it with his or her life. And I want to also thank our great military, everybody who's serving, and all of our veterans. Thank you so much. May God bless you. And everyone, please take pride, no matter who you are, in yourself.
See you next time, everyone.
Hey, everybody, thank you for tuning into The Psychic and the Doc with Mark Anthony and me, Dr. Pat Baccili, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Hey, look, come back next week so we can explore with you more of life's many challenges and learn from fascinating guests. And you know what? Even Mark and me. We'll connect you and discover insights from people in this life and from the afterlife. Extraordinary problems? Yeah, they do. They require extraordinary solutions. But step into the world of possibilities with us on The Psychic and the Doc. That's every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. That's TransformationTalkRadio.com. And don't forget, we're also live face-to-face on Facebook.com, Transformation Talk Radio.